Hello, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most intense and dramatic updates from the front lines of Eastern Europe. The battle for Pokrovsk has reached a critical breaking point, and Ukraine has reportedly sent Russian tanks up in flames in one of the most decisive clashes in recent months. This is not just another battle, it's a turning moment in the wider war, and it could reshape the momentum on the ground for both sides. Pokrovsk, a strategic city in the Donetsk region, has become the latest flashpoint in Ukraine's fierce defense against Russian advances. For months, Russian forces have been pushing to capture this key logistics hub that connects major supply routes across the Eastern Front. Holding Pokrovsk means controlling the flow of troops, weapons, and ammunition between the northern and southern axes of the conflict. For Ukraine, losing it would open the path for deeper Russian incursions, but this week the tables appear to have turned dramatically. Ukrainian counterattacks have not only halted Russian advances, but have destroyed dozens of Russian armored vehicles and tanks, igniting scenes of chaos across the battlefield. According to battlefield footage and military analysts, Ukraine's forces employed a combination of drone-guided artillery, anti-tank missiles, and precision strikes to devastating effect. The Russian armored columns that tried to advance through open terrain near Pokrovsk were caught in ambushes set up by Ukraine's highly mobile infantry units. The result was catastrophic for Moscow's troops. Burned-out tank hulks, destroyed armored personnel carriers, and smoldering supply trucks now litter the fields. This engagement is being described by many observers as one of the largest tank losses for Russia since the battle for Avdiivka earlier this year. What's striking about this battle is Ukraine's ability to integrate modern Western-supplied weapons with its own tactics. Reports suggest that Javelin and NLAW systems were used alongside FPV drones, small but deadly devices capable of hunting tanks in close quarters. These drones, armed with explosives, have become the new artillery for Ukraine. They allow small units to strike deep behind enemy lines and target vehicles that once would have been nearly impossible to reach. Videos shared on social media show Russian tanks being hit one after another, with crews abandoning their vehicles as secondary explosions ripple through the area. But beyond the raw destruction, this clash also reveals a deeper story about the state of the Russian military machine. Analysts have long warned that Moscow's strategy of massed assaults, relying on sheer numbers rather than precision, is both costly and outdated. The Pokrovsk battle reinforces that argument. Dozens of tanks and armored vehicles were lost in a single day because they were sent forward without sufficient air cover or coordination. Many of the Russian units involved reportedly consisted of poorly trained conscripts and mobilized reservists, pushed into combat with minimal support. The results speak for themselves: a devastating defeat on the ground and another blow to morale. For Ukraine, on the other hand, this victory comes at a critical time. The country has been under immense pressure to hold its defensive lines while dealing with ammunition shortages and manpower strains. Western aid has slowed, and political debates in Europe and the United States have delayed crucial supplies. Yet, despite these challenges, Ukraine has shown that it can still strike hard and effectively when it matters most. Military spokesmen have described the Pokrovsk counterattack as a textbook example of modern asymmetric warfare, where smaller, agile units can overpower a larger invading force through superior tactics, intelligence, and mobility. Satellite imagery analyzed by independent sources shows that the area around Pokrovsk is now filled with wreckage from Russian convoys stretching several kilometers. Smoke plumes were visible for hours after the attacks, and intercepted communications reportedly revealed panic among Russian commanders trying to regroup. Some local reports indicate that Russian forces have started pulling back from the northern approach to the city, fearing further ambushes. Ukrainian engineers are already working to fortify new defensive lines, anticipating that Russia will try again soon to regain lost ground. The psychological impact of this battle cannot be overstated. For Ukrainian troops on the front lines, this victory is a massive morale booster. It demonstrates that even in the face of overwhelming odds, planned operations and precision tactics can change the course of the war. For Russia, however, this is another stark reminder that its mechanized power is not invincible. With every tank lost, Moscow's industrial capacity is stretched further, and the ability to sustain long-term offensives becomes harder. Western intelligence estimates that Russia has lost thousands of tanks since the full-scale invasion began in 2022, many of them irreplaceable due to sanctions and production bottlenecks. As the fighting around Pokrovsk continues, both sides are racing to adapt. Ukraine's forces are making heavy use of real-time satellite data and drone reconnaissance to map out Russian movements. Meanwhile, Russia is deploying electronic warfare systems to jam drones and radar-guided missiles. The battle has become a brutal test of technology, endurance, and human will. Civilians have largely evacuated the area, but the few who remain describe constant shelling, the roar of jet engines overhead, and nights lit by burning vehicles on the horizon. Internationally, the news of Ukraine's successful defense has sparked renewed discussions among NATO allies. Some European countries are calling for faster delivery of long-range weapons and air defense systems to sustain Ukraine's momentum. The United States has reiterated its commitment to supporting Kyiv, but warns that continued success will depend on unified Western resolve. On the Russian side, state media has downplayed the losses, calling them temporary setbacks. Though leaked reports suggest growing frustration within the ranks of the Russian Ministry of Defense, the battle for Pokrovsk is not just another headline, it's a symbol of how this war has evolved. Gone are the days of static trench warfare. What we are witnessing now is a dynamic, drone-driven conflict where information and precision matter more than sheer numbers. The skies above the front lines buzz with reconnaissance drones feeding live footage to artillery units. Artificial intelligence tools are being used to identify targets and predict enemy movements. Every strike, every loss, and every advance is part of a larger chess game that's being played out in real time. As the situation develops, one question remains: can Ukraine maintain this momentum? Successes like Pokrovsk show the world that the country still has the will and capability to fight back, but sustaining that effort will require consistent international support and resources. For now, though, Ukrainian forces are celebrating a hard-earned victory that not only defends a crucial city, but also sends a powerful message to Moscow: Ukraine will not yield easily. The images of Russian tanks burning in the fields outside Pokrovsk will likely become one of the defining visuals of this phase of the war. They tell a story of resilience, innovation, and determination in the face of overwhelming adversity. For Ukraine, every destroyed tank is not just a battlefield win, it's proof that courage and strategy can outmatch brute force. The coming weeks will reveal whether this battle marks a turning point in the broader campaign, but one thing is clear: the spirit of resistance remains unbroken, and the flames of those burning tanks have ignited new hope across the nation.